The U.S. president is eager for an early political victory to bolster his bid for a Nobel Peace Prize. However, achieving a fair resolution to the conflict may not be quick or simple, as it involves existential stakes for Ukraine and European security. This tension intensified after the president excluded officials from Kyiv and key European powers from the U.S.-Russia talks held in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. The 4-hour meeting was described as positive by a member of Moscow's negotiating team. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that a framework had been established to explore a potential peace deal and improve U.S.-Russia relations more broadly. The goal is to end this conflict in a manner that is fair, lasting, sustainable, and acceptable to all parties involved, Rubio said. Ultimately, the success of Trump's efforts to end the war will depend on whether his rapid approach can accommodate the essential details of a peace agreement, one that ensures Ukraine's survival, secures European borders, and avoids rewarding Russia's illegal invasion. So far, Trump has shown little regard for these three priorities, making his strategy a risky gamble. Each party involved has serious concerns and significant leverage, making a resolution far more complicated than his campaign promise to broker peace in just 24 hours. The war often appears to be a secondary concern for Trump, who seems more interested in meeting with Putin, one of the authoritarian leaders he admires. Nevertheless, Trump's urgency and influence, combined with his direct line to the Russian leader, could shift the dynamics of this brutal World War I-style war of attrition. In just a few months, President Trump has transformed the global conversation. The question is no longer if the war will end, but how it will end. Only President Trump could accomplish that, Rubio declared after talks with Russian officials in Riyadh. Trump has simply articulated what many U.S. and European officials have privately acknowledged for months. Ukraine is no longer in a position to win the war outright and reclaim all of its lost territory. Trump's aides endlessly praise him as the world's greatest deal-maker, but his approach thus far appears naive. He has conceded several of Russia's key objectives, frequently expresses sympathy for the invasion's rationale, and has alienated America's European allies, who have shouldered much of the cost of supporting Ukraine. Those same allies, according to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, would be responsible for enforcing any peace agreement. In a particularly extraordinary move, Trump attempted to claim half of Ukraine's rare earth mineral wealth, exploiting the nation's vulnerable position. President Volodymyr Zelensky swiftly rejected the proposal. Trump's limited understanding of historical complexities extends beyond Ukraine. His plan to relocate Palestinians from Gaza to build beach resorts underscores his simplistic view of geopolitical crises as mere real estate transactions. His eagerness for a deal raises concerns that he might be willing to let Putin retain all the occupied territory just to bring an end to hostilities. There is also a significant risk that Putin is manipulating Trump. The Russian president set a favorable tone before the Saudi talks by offering Trump political wins, such as the release of several U.S. prisoners, including Caleb Byers, 28, who had been arrested on drug smuggling charges just last week. Trump also emerged from a recent phone call with Putin convinced that the Russian leader is open to sweeping nuclear arms reductions. This is precisely why the Saudi talks, led by Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, are crucial to gauge Russia's true intentions and prevent Trump from misinterpreting Putin's gestures as substantive concessions. The stakes are immense. A rushed peace deal that strengthens Russia while weakening European security could set the stage for an even larger future conflict. At the end of the Cold War, President George H.W. Bush managed the dissolution of the Soviet Union and its Eastern European satellite states, sometimes overriding regional leaders in the broader interests of the West. There is no indication that Trump has a similar strategic vision for Europe's long-term stability. While Trump seeks political prestige, Zelensky is fighting for something far more profound: the survival of Ukraine as a sovereign, independent nation, both now and in the future. Trump's decision to engage in negotiations with Russia without Ukraine's participation has raised fears that he may attempt to impose a deal on Kyiv. Zelensky made his position clear last week at the Munich Security Conference. We will never accept agreements made behind our backs. However, if Trump withdraws support, Zelensky will have to decide to continue fighting without U.S. arms.